So the idea here with building things with functions is that we need to put the logic inside. Building with functions. So if we take a piece of code here and we put some kind of logic inside, we can map it to a lot of different things. In fact, one of the ones that I thought would be good to cover would be to do some NLP. And so the logic in this case, we'll just do this, would be NLP. And then once we've got that logic, we can map it to a command line tool. That's probably one of the easiest ways to do it. We can also map it to IPython. And then we can also map it to a web framework. And then if we want to, we can also map that logic to cloud functions in either AWS or to GCP, whatever is necessary for the problem at hand. So that's kind of the scaffolding here of what we can cover. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to GitHub Codespaces here and start to build out a structure for a project. And in particular, the next thing that I want to do is import another library called text blob. And I'm going to find that text blob. Here we go. Simplified text processing. So this is kind of a neat little library that you can build demos with, and it's a simplified text processing library. Here's a good example of what you can do with it. So let's actually import this library. So I'm going to go over to my requirements, and I'm going to put in text blob. Because I've got the structure set up with the makefile and all this, it's really easy to install. I would just go through here and say make install. Okay, now that I've got make install, the problem of testing it out is pretty easy because I also have IPython. So if I want to try out an idea, I can just refer to the docs again, just kind of go back and forth and say, okay, how do I use it? So I do this. Okay, from text blob, import text blob. Great. Okay, now I need to make some text. And for that, let me think about it. A creative way to solve this, actually, let's be very, very efficient, and let's use a library called Wikipedia that will grab text automatically for us. Then we don't even need to build anything in all scenarios. And so I'm going to do another make install. And let's first get some text and understand how to build some text. So we'll say IPython, and we'll say import Wikipedia. Great. And now if we say results, we can even first do Wikipedia.summary, and we can say LA. Let's do a search. I think it has a search. Yes. So let's search for Golden State Warriors. That's a good one. Golden State Warriors. What comes up? Warriors. There we go. So we have Golden State Warriors. So if I do that, Golden State Warriors, we can do some text. Wikipedia. Notice how it has this nice little autocomplete as well. So it's really like an IDE. There we go. What do we get? Awesome. So we have some nice text to play around with for free, right, by using Wikipedia.summary. So now if I just assign this to text, or let's even make it nice, Golden State Warriors text, like that, we can actually try out our text blob, and we'll say, again, go back to the documentation. We want to say from text blob, import text blob. So we'll do this. And then what's the next thing they want us to do? Make text. We've got that. I see. So we just say blob. Well, that's pretty easy. So we say blob equals, in this case, we'll just swap this. Golden State Warriors text. And now if we do blob dot, there's a bunch of different methods available here, including things like sentiment. Let's look at sentiment. So we can see that polarity, subjectivity. So we got a sentiment analysis. What else are they showing here? Tags. Okay, let's do tags, blob dot tags. Oh, so it wants us to download the corpus. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and do that. In fact, let's be nice and let's put this into our make file to make it easy, right? So let's do this. Python, download the corpus. And so I could just do this, make install. So that's one neat thing about IPython is you can do the exclamation point, and it will run any kind of a shell command. And so now if I run that again, tags, look at that, pretty cool. So it's able to actually grab a bunch of tags out of here for us automatically, right? Which is really neat. And what else can it do? It can do noun phrases. Okay, so let's do blob noun phrases. There you go. And it's able to grab a bunch of different phrases out of there. So kind of a cool little library that, and if I wanted to just, I don't know, like make that into, I'm assuming if I just said 0, oh, I see. And then I can slice things out a bit at a time. Okay, neat. So I've got something to work with here that I think will be pretty cool. So let's build out let's build out something that processes all that into logic. And so in order to do that, I'm going to make a library first. And I think this is always a good idea. If you're starting to build something that's fairly reusable, it's good to build a library. So we'll create a directory first called NLP logic. And then we'll just create a empty file inside of there that is going to tell Python that it's a library, right? Which is an under init under.py. And now we can start building out inside of here our code. So we'll call this core NLP.py or something like. So we'll say touch NLP logic core NLP. There we go. And I can just start building stuff out. So we can even go back to IPython, and this is what's cool about it, and just steal some of the ideas. Like, okay, what's some of the stuff we did? Okay, we did, so we said from text blob, import text blob. Okay, we need that. What else did we import? We had this. That looks kind of neat. Let's pull some of that. Whoops. Let's pull some of that. What else did we have? Import Wikipedia. Grab that. Right, so you can reuse some of your ideas. And then, I don't know, what was the noun phrases maybe? It was kind of cool. So we had summary, Wikipedia summary. That's a good one. And we already got that one. And blob noun phrases. Okay, blob noun phrases. Okay, so we can build out probably a couple functions. So first step, let's make a function to pull a summary text. So we can say, well, actually, we can build 3 functions here. I would say first we will call search Wikipedia, right? And this would be name. And all this is going to do is it's going to return a Wikipedia dot search of the name, right? So nothing too tricky, but we could add a little bit of logic in here as well, like, you know, searching for name like this, just to give us some debugging, right? So we know that when we call this function, it'll search Wikipedia. And now we can build another function that summarizes Wikipedia. So we'll say summarize Wikipedia, and we'll say name, and this, and we put documentation as well, so we can go here, search Wikipedia, all right, and then build another one here that says summarize Wikipedia. Okay, and then we can build another one, or now we put the logic. So the logic would be like this. It would be print, you know, finding summary for name, Wikipedia summary, Wikipedia summary for name, add some documentation for this, and then we would return Wikipedia dot summary of the name. And then we could build another function that gets a text blob object. So we can say def text get text blob, like that. And so this one will take text, but it'll return back just the blob, which we can do many things with. So we'll say here, like getting text blob. In this case, I don't think I want to print out the text because it could be too big. So what I'll do is just do from, we'll just say, what was the syntax? It would be like this. Okay, so we'll say blob is equal to text blob, and we just return back blob, right? So gets, we'll say gets text blob object and returns, right? So that means we can do lots of things with it. And then finally, we'll build one more that says get phrases, right? So this is going to take, in fact, we could piece everything together, and we could just say name, right? So get phrases. So this will say like find Wikipedia name and return back phrases, right? So this kind of encapsulates a lot of things all at once, and this is really kind of like a main function. And so we would say first get the summary. So we would say text is equal to summarize Wikipedia, and we pass in the name. And then we would say phrases, or we say blob is equal to, and we'll say get text blob, and we'll pass in the text. And then the final step would be the phrases, and we would just say is equal to blob dot noun phrases. and we can just say return phrases. Like that. There we go. So we got find Wikipedia name, return back phrases. Perfect. So we got some nice little logic here that will allow us to do all kinds of fun things. Now, the cool thing about IPython is it also lets us just play around with all this code before we even get too far down into building real things with it. So this is, again, the power of functions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say from NLP, let's make it a little bit bigger. So from NLP logic imports core NLP. There we go. So we got our library. And now, in theory, all I would need to do is type in the Golden State Warriors into the get phrases. So it would just wrap everything up at once. So we can say the name is equal to Golden State Warriors, like that. And we say phrases is equal to get phrases name. Get phrases is not defined. Get phrases. Oh, because I need to say core NLP dot get phrases. So I have a misspelling, which is expected. Noun PH. So all I got to do is save that, exit out, so that it'll reload, and I just go through the whole scenario again. So I just go up arrow, imported, then do the up arrow again, put the name. So this is really nice about using the IPython. Oh, I still misspelled it. so let's miss phrases. Wait, actually, let's just find out what. Let's just do this. Let's find out what the heck's going on. So, let's just go one by one to debug this. Dot. Okay, so text, that works. Blob, let's go to the next one. That's the one I care about. PHR. Blob equals core NLP dot get text blob, and we need to put in the text, right? So I'm just reproducing what's inside of there, and now I just need to say blob dot noun underscore phrases. So that should work. Let's just throw that in there. Throw that in there. So was that different? Yeah, that looks correct. And so now if I run the next step and I say phrases is equal to core NLP, core NLP dot get phrases text, what happens? There you go. Search request is longer than the maximum length. So summarize, get phrases, search requests is, that's a very strange error I'm getting. Page title, let's see what happened here. So get phrases. If I go here, we have summarize Wikipedia. Let's double check I'm doing the right thing. That looks correct. Summarize Wikipedia. Summarize Wikipedia. So this one is blowing up for some reason. And it's saying an unknown error occurred. Search request is longer. Please report it on GitHub. Yeah, not sure. I'm not sure what's going on here, but doesn't necessarily make sense to me, because in this particular scenario, summarize Wikipedia is only doing Wikipedia summary, and so it doesn't necessarily make sense. Well, let's try it again. To debug it, I can do this. I can say IPython, and I can say from NLP logic dot core NLP imports summarize Wikipedia, like that. And now if I just type in text is equal to summarize Wikipedia, and we put in Golden State Warriors, let's see what happens. So I didn't get that. so that is interesting, because let's just double check here. Yeah, that looks like that's what's happening. It's possible I'm introducing some kind of a bug in the code, but if I look at text, right, that's the text. And if I say get phrases, so now let's run get phrases. So if I say, oh, I know what the problem is. I'm passing in the text. I am passing the wrong thing. I need to only pass in the name. So I just need to say like phrases like this. I see what's happening. I'm outsmarting myself, is that I just say get phrases, and we just put in here Golden State Warriors, right? So because it does everything, Golden State Warriors. The Wikipedia was telling us the right thing, and we just need to say import that. So say from NLP logic.core NLP imports get phrases, up arrow. There we go. And then we have phrases. So not bad. In my opinion, this style of using IPython first to completely build out the logic in functions is a pretty powerful way to code, because some of the tricky things and bugs and all this stuff are already figured out, and I know my way around the code I wrote now pretty well just by playing around with IPython. So now I can build out a tool, right? So I would say the first thing that I would build out here would be a command line tool. So again, I'm going to need to use a library, and in fact, I would say the easiest possible way to build a command line tool is probably to use Python Fire. And so let's go here and import Fire, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we go through here and we say Python Fire, let's grab this, and we can see it's from Google. It's a simple way to create a command line tool. And it's shocking, actually, how simple this tool really is. And so what you do is you say import Fire, and then it builds a command line tool. So I believe that we can just copy this, and we'll call this next tool. let's make a new function, and we'll call this wiki phrases.py. And so from here, I just say, paste this in, right? So I just kind of copy that stuff. And what I want to do is import the logic that I built earlier. So I want to go to this core NLP library. So I want to import this thing right here. This does all the work for us. And so I'll say from NLP logic dot core NLP import get phrases, right? And now this is what's kind of amazing about it, is that I don't even have to put code inside of here. If I remember correctly, I can just do this, right? So talk about the world's simplest command line tool. It's pretty amazing. So if I remember correctly, and then I also want to do the shebang line and make it a Python tool. So I'll grab this and we'll put this inside of here. That looks good. I'll need to chmod it. There we go. And now if I run it, if I do --help, does it give me help? Oh, I need to install Fire. So I need to, even though I put it here, I didn't do make install. So let's do that. Make install. All right. Help. Does it work? Whoops, wrong file. There we go. Pretty cool, huh? If we go through here, look, it gives me all this stuff. I didn't even do anything, right? Because it grabs it from the doc strings, and I actually have like in 7 lines of code. I didn't even have to. The only lines I had to add was this. So kind of an amazing command line tool library, to be honest. And so in this case, we would just do name, and we would say Golden State Warriors. There we go. And it's going to go to Wikipedia, grab the summary, then we're going to find the phrases outside. So kind of shockingly powerful what you can build if you first build the logic in a function and then take that function and put it into a tool like Python Fire. Now, to make this somewhat professional, what we should do though is we should take this code and we should build like a DevOps structure so that we have some linting, some testing, things like that. So to start with, what I'll do is I'll build a test file. So we'll go here and we'll say test wiki phrases, or no, test core NLP .py. So in order to test now, I'm going to want to add some other libraries. So we'll add PyTest, and we'll add PyTest cov, right? So this allows us to do test coverage, and I'll also add PyLint, right? So these are all, and I'll also add Python Black. So these are all libraries I like to use. So I like to, run tests with PyTest. I like to check for syntax with PyLint, and then I like to format my code with Python Black. And so what we can do is make sure that our makefile has all this stuff inside of there. And so let's add a step called format. And again, I'm going to use Stack Overflow, Python Black, all Python files. Let's see, what does it give me? Run Python Black on all Python files. Let's read the documentation. I think I can just do, oh, a direct, so it works with a directory. Okay, so let's do that. We'll do the directory approach, and we'll say black asterisk.py and in NLP logic. So let's see what happens. Make format, or actually first let's make install to get all the libraries. Okay, and then let's do make format. Nice, so it cleans up our code, and it did catch all the files, which is great. So it makes things a little cleaner. Like if we go to this library, like look, it cleaned it up, made it look, you know, more presentable. So I think this is a great idea to add this. And then similarly, you know, let's do pylint. In this case, what we'll do is we'll say asterisk.py as well as NLP logic asterisk.py. Let's just get everything, and let's just say make lint. Do we have any bugs? Ooh, nice, 10 out of 10, which is always nice to hear. And then the only other thing we need to do is build a little bit of a test structure. So for this, we don't care about the hello file. What we want to test out is the wiki phrases. And we also want to test out the library, which is NLP logic. NLP logic. And then we want to tell it to look at the test file, which is test core NLP. Now, if we run this, I think it'll just say no tests. Yeah, it'll just say no test, right? So 0% test coverage. So there's nothing. And now I just need to add some tests. So let's go ahead and open this up, the test file here. And so I would do similar to building a library. So there's some similarity here. So I would just say, you know, from NLP logic, imports, and we can just import all the things that are in here, like, you know, we could do this, can do this. Next one, good text blob. We don't necessarily have to get complete test coverage, but get close. There we go. And then let's just make one test to start with. I can also do make format to make sure I formatted that right. Oh, cannot parse this. Yeah, I always screw up the multi-import thing with Python. Let's do this. I screwed that up. Let's put them all on the same line, and let's let Python Black solve it for us. So we'll see if the power of Python Black. Okay, what do I do? Oh, okay, that's how it wants it. All right, Python Black is the guru, so we'll listen to it. So we'll say def test. We'll just say not dget phrase. We want get phrase. Get phrase. Def test get phrase. That's kind of the core one that we care about. And we just, I guess what we could do is we could just do a functional test to keep things simple. And we could just say assert that. And if we look at the last thing we ran here, when we did the command line tool, what was in the output? It was, well, we can just run it. We can just say up arrow, find, here we go. What shows up in the output here? So golden state. Okay. So let's just say assert that is inside of get phrases golden state, right? That's an okay. It's an okay functional test. All right. So now we have at least a test. And so what we can do is we can look at our make file here, and we're going to run this make test. So if we say make test, we have a bug, and it says it couldn't import search Wikipedia because I probably did the import wrong. Search Wikipedia. Well, how about this? I see what the problem was. Dot core NLP. There we go. That's what the issue is. It's going to run our functional test. There we go. We have, just from that one functional test, 88% test coverage. Now, I am curious. Wiki phrases. Yeah. I guess wiki phrases, there's nothing in it. So now let's check all this in. So let's do git add star, commit this, adding in NLP command line tool. And let's go ahead and push this. And now what we can do is go back to the repository, and let's use GitHub Actions to do continuous integration, right? Which is, I think, so easy to do that you should do it. And if we go through here, we can just set up a workflow ourselves, and not too tricky to build things out here. I always just have some other GitHub Actions that I built previously. And so if I look at function bike rider here, I probably have one I can use. Sure, this looks good. Let's just take this as a template, and then I just go back to here and paste it in, and I can tweak it. So the idea here is that this YAML file will test our project automatically for us. And so this is on Python 3.8. I believe we probably let's open up a new terminal, and let's open up what's the last repo? Here we go. Let's open up GitHub Codespaces again and just see what version of Python we're using, because we want our build system to test the same version we're using inside of our project. So we'll just type in Python here. Okay, 3.10. So let's test 3.10. So we'll change this to 3.10. And then we'll go through here. I will say 3.10. And we have make install, make lint. I would say at the very end, we should do a format. Even though the formatting won't keep, right? It'll at least tell us that the code would need to be formatted, which is something to just be aware of. Like if I was looking at the build process, it could help me debug something in the future, right? I could go, oh wait, I didn't run make format, right? So we'll say make format, and then here we'll do format with Python black. There you go. Make format. Start the commit. Perfect. Now if I go to actions, we can see this in action. It's building. And this will hopefully work on the first try. And this will test our project, lint our project, format our project. Well, we have one problem. It says available versions 3.10.5. Okay, so I think it's telling me that that's not good enough. That I need to put 3.10.5, which is fine. Let's do that. which is all helpful. Like bugs are actually are helpful information because it lets us be very specific about saying what version of Python this is tested with. Okay, there we go. Set it up, installing dependencies. Remember, it's also going to do the Corpus download, which is actually also a nice functional test. And there we go. Now it's going to go through, lint our code. Our linting is successful. Oh, it was not successful because it did correctly identify we did some naughty things, which I didn't use these imports. Not a problem. We can fix that. We can go over here. So we don't want to import things we don't use. So let's fix that. It actually makes the code easier to look at, easier on the eyes. There we go. And it's, I guess, make lint LP logic. There we go. So get status, get add test, get commit, adding import fix. Push this change, and now, we need to do a git pull first because we added GitHub actions. So it's always fun to play git, and then we close it. It'll merge. Whoops, merge message, git push. There we go. So now we go back to actions, merge the branch, look at the build, and we should have this cooking. So setting up Python 3.10, installing dependencies, linting the code, testing the code, or first we have to do the lint. Running the test, formatting, perfect. We've got it. Awesome. We can create a status badge now. Just copy this, go back to our project, and just make it really cool by adding a working status badge.